Rouse's is proud of the creativity and the unparalleled entertainment in New Orleans, and honored to highlight it with their sponsorship of Steppin Out on WYES.
Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tooker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hey,
Hello,
Poppy.
Miss Peg.
Hello. Julia Bland, great to see her, Chief Executive Officer of the Louisiana Children's Museum, with some great news about this weekend. Hi, Julia. Good to see you. Hey. Alfred Richard. Yay, Alfred. Movie critic for WWL-TV. Good to see you once again.
Good seeing you again, Peggy.
And Alan Smason of TheaterCriticism.com and the Crescent City Jewish News. Howdy, Alan.
Hey.
Poppy, yet another place for ice cream. It's amazing.
Well, I told you I'm on the ice cream beat now, and I really am very fond of Rahm House ice cream. Now, Rahm, R-A-H-M, is the German word for cream, so it makes sense why that Jillian Duran, who is the most amazing girl, she's a new Orleanian of perhaps 5 years. No wonder she called her business Rahm House. And she comes to us as a very accomplished pastry chef. She actually worked at Stone Barns at Blue Hill, which is really something amazing. And her ice cream reflects her amazingness. That is the black and gold. That's black garlic and honey with dark chocolate-covered salted honeycomb candy. And you're going to see Ducky Luck, which is butterscotch with a duck fat caramel. And aside from her incredible ice cream flavors, she makes cakes. There is her crown jewel cake, which is a jacquard exterior and a semi-freddo interior with local pas de fruits, whipped cream, dried edible flowers, and gold leaf. The cloud cake is a wild-looking thing. And what's really crazy, if you want a big party, order a black cloud cake. That's an attention getter. And it's just like that, only it's black. It's a black cloud. And there's new cakes and new flavors every week. Now on Sundays, she's having Sunday Sundays. And the picture is of her Bananas Foster inspired sundae with creme de violette ice cream and chicory coffee truffles. This weekend there's going to be a late night snack attack. Now all of this is taking place at Courtyard Brewery, and we're going to be talking more about the brewery later.
And Poppy, we should point out, and correct me if I'm wrong, though, I believe it's the same building where Bridge House was once located.
Yes, and before
right
that,
it
was a funeral home. So stay tuned.
Oh,
more
right.
on that in the next
Margaret
segment.
Hargery Square right there. Yes. Okay, thank you so much. And moving over to Julia with such good news, finally. We've been missing the Louisiana Children's Museum, and I'm not a kid. So I'm sure you're thrilled. And what a weekend you'll have, too.
We are so excited about what lies ahead, being able to open our big blue doors again for families in the community. It's been a long time since we've been able to have the interactive play that distinguishes our museum, and we're so excited to be opening Saturday for the full 3 days of the weekend. 9:30 to 4:30, Saturday and Monday, and then Sunday we'll open a little later at 11:30. But
Now,
we're really thrilled.
Absolutely. Julia, before we go too far, let's set the stage in case someone hasn't passed by or been inside, and I hope they have. Here's an excerpt from a Louisiana Children's Museum video that focuses on the exterior design.
I think an underlying story that was so strong to us was about the state of Louisiana, where water and land are in a constant interaction throughout the state, and it feels like this site really wanted to celebrate how water and land came together. It did make a promise to Julia that we would design a place that could only be on this site. And it started with some of the extant site elements like the live oak trees, so working around the live oaks. We worked around a building that would interconnect through the site, and we call it the Choreography of Experience. When a child arrives, how do they come on site? How do they move through it? So when you come across the bridge with fog sculpture, you are arriving across the water onto the porch and then into the museum, so that your very arrival and movement through the building and the site is part of the total experience for children and families as they come. We were working with Wagner Ball, our local architects, had discussions about what were some of the key elements of New Orleans. One is the courtyard. So the courtyard's a very important part of how the whole museum wraps around a courtyard that opens to the water. The front porch, the louvers and shading. So these large overhangs and porches give this both a gracious entry, they provide shade, but they also provide kind of a civic sensibility to the whole kind of a lagoon side of the museum. As it got to the details, Julia and her team were really great at working with local artists. So we engaged with Mitchell Gaudet, who did these wonderful, we called the Mardi Gras beads, because originally Mardi Gras beads were glass, and that are along the entry rail, that both when sun comes through, they kind of glow with this beautiful color, that children can spin them.
And we should point out that this museum has already received many design awards, and that video, and a longer version of that, was for one of those awards. And kudos to Albert Moten and Larry Roosery for putting that wonderful video together. Julia, let's talk about the inside now.
The inside is also award-winning, and the people that vote with the loudest voice are the children.
Yes.
We have had an amazing visitation from children from birth through teenage years, I believe. But we've got a variety of wonderful interactive experiences that speak to the joy and discovery and talents of anybody's special favorites. Our designs are always designed with the family in mind. Children's museums are so important in terms of strengthening families, and that's exactly what we seek to do on an ongoing basis.
So exciting, and once again, congratulations for that. And we should remind everybody, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now tell us about your regular hours.
Well, these will be very similar. Throughout the summer, we'll be open Tuesday through Saturday, 9:30 to 4:30, and Sundays we have a little later start at 11:30. We'll be closed on Mondays throughout the summer, okay. But we'll offer a great variety of experiences inside and outside. The museum is so lucky to be in the middle of the most gorgeous park in our region, and we've got a lot to offer and explore outside.
All right, and when we come back to you, we'll hear about your favorite exhibits. Thank you so much. And moving over to Alfred, what's new at the movies or on the tube?
I love it, and I love it. Now I have a new place I can take all the great nieces and the great greats here in New Orleans. There are a lot of things coming out in the theaters this week, and we're going to touch on a couple of them. First of all, back in 2018, well before the pandemic and well before people, remember when we could go into theaters? Remember that? Well, there was a film that came out called A Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski. And it was a marvel, and especially with the use of silence in the film. Well, the film was so successful, a pandemic couldn't stop a sequel. We are now seeing A Quiet Place Part 2, in which John Krasinski is back directing, but the main actress is Emily Blunt. She plays the mother who has all the problems from the first film, and of course John Krasinski, he's back in the film as well, also in director's sit. Cillian Murphy, I've always liked him, especially from the Batman Begins and the Dark Knight films. He is a strong candidate in this film, and Djimon Hounsou as well. Again, it gives all the elements that we had in A Quiet Place Part 2, and it takes them up a notch. It really works. It starts on the 28th, and it's in theaters, and you can catch it on Paramount Plus if you still feel hesitant about going to theaters. And another big film out this week. Now, Disney has been reimagining a lot of its classic films with some success and a lot of failure. This one probably will not be a failure. This one is Cruella. This is the backstory about Cruella de Vil, everybody's favorite villainess from Disney's 101 Dalmatians, but this time it's taken up a notch with Emma Stone playing the titular role of Cruella de Vil. Her outfits, the makeup, everything is absolutely amazing, and how she transformed from being a small mousy, and it's hard to believe you can call Emma Stone mousy character, into Cruella de Vil. You also have Emma Thompson, who I always enjoy. She plays, I guess you could say, her boss, but also the person who inspires her to become the Cruella that we know. And Kirby Howe Baptiste is strong in this film too. A real great ensemble cast. You'll go for the production, especially for Emma Stone, but you're going to go for the costumes if you're into that type of thing. It is in theaters starting on the 28th, and again, it's also streaming on Disney+. That's the way things are, at least at this point. You'll get some theatrical releases and Disney+ or streaming services. In the second segment, I'll talk about a couple of other films that are going to be going back and forth for your choice.
All right. Thank you. All these options these days. And now back over to Alan.
And my Disney Plus is going up $10 when it renews, I just found out. Well, it took more than a year, but finally the Broadway League and the American Theater Wing announced the 2020 Tonys are finally going to be held in September. September the 26th is the date, but like everything else this past year, it will be different. It'll be held over a 4-hour period in 2 different parts, with all but the top awards announced in the first period, and then in a dazzling showcase for Broadway, they'll have entertainment spectaculars with the best play and best musical announced for 2020 at that point. There's Michael Cerveris holding up his Tony so proudly. I have to tell you, I'm looking forward to it, but it has taken some time. We'll look forward to seeing this. And again, it's going to be on the streaming platform as well that we talked about with Paramount Plus. So it'll be interesting, what used to be CBS All Access. Meanwhile, the World War II Museum has been doing some amazing work with Hetty, the life and inventions of Hetty Lamar. It's the first major show at the BB Stage Door Canteen, and there you have Heather Massey, a one-woman show with BB Stage Door Canteen as the venue. She becomes Hetty Lamar and also channels the roles of at least a dozen other people, some of them even movie stars like Jimmy Stewart and the MGM mogul Louis B. Mayer, again considered at one point the most beautiful woman in the world. She also reveals how Lamar has in more recent years become known as an inventor and scientist, having patented the frequency hopping we use today in our cell phones and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity. Massey is a former astrophysicist and theater student herself, so this show is an homage to Hetty Lamar, or Hetty Lamar, she says, and also echoes her own interests. It's a 90-minute play, painstakingly well researched and quite entertaining. I recommend everybody go see it. Unfortunately, there's only one show that may be able to be available, and that's Saturday. They just opened this up this week, so if there are some seats, I suggest you get them quickly at the Stage Door Canteen, and you can read my full review on theatercriticism.com and a story on the Crescent City Jewish News. Now, when the worldwide pandemic began, Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Show Must Go On YouTube channel began showing us some of his past work for free and really make us clamor for more. Well, guess what? Now that London's West End shows are reopening, Sir Andrew is sending us a love letter to musical theater from across the pond with a 7-day look at some of the most exciting shows running in London or having run previously. There's one right now that's about to open on Broadway called Six, about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. Tina, of course, the Tina Turner musical. Pretty Woman, Back to the Future, and other crowd favorites like Phantom of the Opera and Hamilton will also be on hand. So go check it out. The shows must go on their YouTube channel. You can start watching for free Sunday at 2 o'clock, and it goes for 7 days. So if you miss it, shame on you.
Free? Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Alan. Wow, what a deal, huh? And back to Poppy. Poppy?
Well, Courtyard Brewery is where Jillian Duran of Rum House Ice Cream hangs her hat. She's only open Wednesday through Sunday, but Courtyard Brewery is there 7 days a week. And of course, Courtyard Brewery has moved to the other side of Canal Street from their original location, and there's lots of courtyard space, including a great private event courtyard space, and they're always introducing new beers. There's a new beer that I'm going to tell you about called Peribrew, which is a play on paranormal, and this is a collaboration with Stormy Daniels, only in New Orleans, who is doing a new paranormal. Apparently, Stormy Daniels is now a ghost hunter, and so her Peribrew is a pastry stout with marshmallow, graham cracker, Tahitian vanilla beans, and roasted cacao beans from Belize. There's Discontinuities of Time that has just been introduced, which is a pineapple sage-based pale ale. And there's a low-stress lobster that involves a Belgian-style saison brewed with spelt, white tea, and dried jasmine flowers. Now, I'm showing you this picture because this is Scott's son, Jules, and that's exactly how friendly, how child-friendly the Courtyard Brewery is. You can bring the kids. There's ice cream for them. There's delicious beer for you. That Peribrew has 11.5% ABV, and by the way, Jules was watering their prized hop plants. Everybody told Scott that you couldn't grow hops in Louisiana, and he's proving them wrong, growing them in the courtyard there. It's such a fun place to stop by. There's often live music, lots of action. They're there 7 days a week. On the weekends, they're open 11 a.m. until at least 11 p.m. And so go have some ice cream, go have a beer, and see if something paranormal happens to you there at the old funeral home.
Once again, near the bridge and the old bridge house building. At least some of us remember it that way. Thank you, Poppy. And back to Julia. Julia, some of your favorite exhibits. I know there's so many, but we'll let you tell us about some of them.
Well, that's a hard task to select favorite exhibits because there are so many. But I think we can start off with, let's see, do you have some?
Yes.
Our Play With Me gallery is designed for children under the age of 4 and their parents, and it has just an extraordinary set of sensory experiences, including a sensory lagoon in the center of the space. Beautiful light-filled area, lots of messy play area and story time area, and we're actually going to be starting a toddler yoga program there. So we're excited about that. This is our Bubble Studio, and anybody who has history with the Children's Museum on Julia Street knows about stepping inside a bubble and watching it magically form around you. This one is actually available for people in wheelchairs, so it's handicap accessible. And then Move with the River is one of the most extraordinary water tables in America. It's a 100-foot long water table that starts at Lake Itasca, Minnesota, and goes to the Gulf of Mexico. And it's fun, it's wet, it's messy, but it's filled with engineering. It's going to build fabulous water literacy in all of our children and their parents. And it's a fabulous way to learn about the reason New Orleans really grew from this spot that indigenous people started. And outside, we've got a majority of really fabulous acres of gardens designed for children. This is a tunnel that leads into a magical playground. Everything is natural, wooden, creative, and just is filled with children's imagination and creativity. Inside, there's an exhibit called Dig into Nature, and we're looking at all the natural resources in Louisiana and ways to care for them, share them, learn from them, and really move water and sediment around and care for City Park. And I was going to say, I actually did the Bubble Studio. As you noticed, it was a mom with her children in it, so adults can go in that. That is so much fun. Right.
And we have to mention Acorn, the precious restaurant, Dickie Brennan's restaurant. That's really quite the partner with you all, right next door, don't
right.
we?
Acorn is a treasure. It's delicious food, family friendly, well priced, the most beautiful setting in the city, but a wonderful place to come for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all part of the museum.
Yeah, and just quickly, if you could explain, because I think there's some people are very entranced by the mystery of it, but, the bridge with the smoke. Explain what that
water,
is.
It's fog, and we have an amazing installation of fog that now will happen every 30 minutes, but Fujiko Nakaya, who's an 86-year-old Japanese artist who lives in Tokyo, created this installation for us. This is only the second permanent exhibit in the United States, and she's been making fog around the world for 50 years. So we feel very privileged. It is magical. It is a treasure and a treat.
It is magical. Thank you so much, Julia. And once again, lcm.org for more information, of course, about the Children's Museum. And back over to Alfred for more viewing.
All right, and Alan, just another point. Remember, it's Headley. You can with Headley Lamar as well from Blazing Saddles. Okay, we can't sue her. Anyway, the film that I'm going to talk about is one that you can see not only in the theaters but also at your own home and your streaming service. It's called Port Authority, and now that's set up in New York City. Yes, New York City. It's about a young man named Paul who comes from Western Pennsylvania. He's a troubled individual, but he meets a young woman played by Lena Bloom. She plays a black trans woman who deals with her own life and with Paul and finds love. Again, very topical, very timely here, and very good performance, especially by Lena Bloom. You can catch this in the theaters, and especially, I understand now, at the Britannia on Canal Place, and it starts on the 28th, and you can see it on HBO Max. And if you're looking for some more star power, now we have here The Woman in the Window. Now this one stars Amy Adams, and we're dealing with issues, especially of mental care and mental illness. Amy Adams is the star in this film, but she has a lot of support going along with her. Not only that, you have recent Oscar winner Gary Oldman, who portrays in the film, and he looking great, really looking great. And New Orleans' own Anthony Mackie, and Warren Easton fan, he also is starring in The Woman in the Window. If you want to see these films, well, you won't be able to see this one in the theater. You will find it available on Netflix. As I've been mentioning on this show and on Channel 4, we're now seeing a lot of films that are coming out, some toward the theaters and others on streaming services, as we are moving into areas where we can get more people into places like theaters. So if you want to, you can take a look. If not, remember, people, get the vaccine, get the jab, and wear your mask if you have to.
Thank you, Alfred. I watched that movie last night. It's very Rear Window inspired, don't you think?
Yeah.
A little Hitchcockian there.
A little Hitchcockian. Everybody's wondering whether or not she's really telling a story.
It's very well done.
Very good.
Thank you. And back over to Alan.
Well, Peggy, I just found out that Elizabeth Brissett, who is out of Nashville, has been living in New Orleans for the past year as she's getting set up with a new company for theater called Quarter Renaissance Productions. Well, of course, she came in just in time for the pandemic, but she's now getting ready to unveil Quarter Renaissance Productions. It's a group that's going to be renting a space not far down from the historic New Orleans collection on Royal Street. They'll be having some readings to start up and eventually having full productions. So they're going to start off with some of the federal plays, paying homage to a lot of these plays that were done during the Depression. They'll be starting with Eugene O'Neill's The Emperor Jones. And then after that, they're going to follow it up with It Can't Happen Here. After that, the production of Faustus that they'll have will hopefully be full. And then they're going to end up with Lysistrata, the story of the women who stopped war by not making love. Comedy that's lived, as they says, for 2,000 years. You'll check that out again. Hopefully, Elizabeth will be my guest on the NOLA Theater Talk Show this Monday, Memorial Day evening at 8 p.m. And you can enjoy that at the Facebook group, Theater Folk Facebook page, the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, or the YouTube Music Lovers channel. Congratulations, by the way, Peggy, to Rosary O'Neill and her daughter Rory O'Neill on the continued success of Garden District in film festivals in Toronto's and Berlin's film festivals. And the short film has now entered the Madrid Film Festival. We'll find out if it gets any awards later on. And on the Seth Rudetsky concert this week, George Salazar, the star of Joe Iconis' Be More Chill. You see him there with me after the 2019 show, Be More Chill. He's iconic Michael in the Bathroom song. He'll be the guest on the Seth Show. And again, he's also been involved with The Lightning Thief, Here Lies Love. George will be with Seth at 2 o'clock and then following with the repeat broadcast at 7 o'clock New Orleans time. Hopefully you'll see that as well.
All right, thank you so much. And now it's time for our picks of the week. Poppy.
It's time for the New Orleans Food and Wine Experience. And there are still some tickets available Thursday, June 10th, they always kick it off with Vinola, which is a fine wine tasting. There's labs, there's experiences. The grand tasting is sold out on Friday. This takes place at the Sugar Mill. But Saturday, June 12th, there's 2 grand tastings, one at 12:30 and one at 6 p.m. that there are still tickets available for.
All right, thank you. Julia.
Yes, this is Planning a Little Ahead. Cherish the Children will be held this September 25th. At the museum, we're excited. This is our premier fundraiser every year, a time when we really highlight creative chairs that have been made by local artists, as well as celebrate our children and cherish them through auction and galleries and lots of fun.
Thank you. Alfred.
Oh, Stand By Me. It's hard to believe that the classic film Stand By Me is 35 years old, and there's going to be a special. You see here the cast of Stand By Me, and those young men have gone on. One, unfortunately, has passed on at this point, but the cast is back on screen, the big screen, and it will be shown at the AMC theaters around the country, and of course in this area at Elmwood, Clearview, and such, starting on the 28th. So if you want to catch it and listen to a better rendition of Benny King's song, you can do so.
Thank you. Alan.
Ed Dixon has been a mainstay of Broadway for more than 50 years. Starred in a 2018 show at the Victoria Theater, that is the York Theater. He did with Georgie, My Life with George Rose. This got high marks by all the critics and one major award. For those who missed it, this extraordinary theatrical event will be on theatermania.com. The cost is $25. I would check it out. I wanted to see this very badly, and now I'm getting to see it myself. I'll see you, Peggy, at the theater.
Thank you, Alan. And now my picks. The Patio Planters are holding their Secret Gardens of the Vieux Carré tour. That's on Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. 8 gardens. You can get tickets online at patioplanters.net or at Creo Delicacies, 533 St. Anne, the day of, or right now at the French Quarter Gem and Lapidary. That's 527 St. Philip Street. Guitarist John Rankin is back at the Columns Hotel, this time on Monday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. Seating is limited, so do make a reservation at 899-9308. Go to johnrankin.net for details about John, and by the way, he's also going to be playing with guitarist Jimmy Robinson and Cranston Clements this Saturday afternoon at the Broadside on North Broad. The Museum of the Southern Jewish Experience is opened at 818 Howard Avenue. It's at Carondelet, just a few doors down from WDSU. It's open 6 days a week, closed on Tuesdays. Go to msje.org for more info and tickets, and we'll be talking lots more about the museum very soon. The Friends of the Lafitte Greenway are excited about a new mural along the Greenway at 2500 St. Louis Street, painted by artist Teresa Parad. It is 220 feet long and depicts local flora and the Mississippi River. There are also other murals along the Lafitte Greenway. What an amenity for the city. The new one is right in front of James Moyes' Bisou Wines and the Cellar on St. Louis. Thank you all so very much. And Julia, it was great to have you. And let us know when any other exciting thing happens at the Children's Museum. We'd love to have you back. Thank you all
so much.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Rouse's is proud of the creativity and the unparalleled entertainment in New Orleans, and honored to highlight it with their sponsorship of Steppin Out on WYES.